Hey guys, welcome to part 4 of my Doctor Who DVD collection. I'm sorry for the long wait. I really should have filmed all these videos and put them up one by one. I thought that it would add a bit more variety to my page if I just kind of dispersed them and put different videos in between, but it just didn't work out that well, and right now I'm going to just film the rest of my collection and put the rest of the videos up one by one. So last time we ended in the Tom Baker era. I believe the last one we had was the Leisure Hive. So this brings us to the E-Space Trilogy. This starts off with a story called Full Circle. What's interesting about this one is it was written by a fan of the show, a teenager. I think he was around 16 or 18 years old when he wrote this, although I think most of the episode was probably written by the script editor at the time. This is a pretty neat story with a neat sci-fi idea, and it's got some interesting aliens in it too. But it's an interesting story overall. Next we have State of Decay. Now this was written by Terrence Dicks. He wanted to do a vampire story for quite a long time. I think he wanted to do one earlier in Tom Baker's era as a Doctor, but the BBC was doing a miniseries of Dracula, and they didn't want to compete with Doctor Who, so they told him they couldn't do it. But he finally got to do it in State of Decay, and this is an awesome story. I'd highly recommend watching this one. Now we have a really strange one. It's Warrior's Gate. I don't even think I finished this one. It's just really strange and kind of boring. I just didn't really like it that much. So that brings us to the New Beginnings box set, which we'll start off with The Keeper of Trock, and this is one of my favorites. This is the beginning of the end for the Fourth Doctor. This is where he meets one of his new companions, Nyssa, and her father is a scientist played by Anthony Ainley, who you'll remember coming up in the future, because he plays the Master in the next series. But this is a really cool story. Highly recommend watching it. Next we have Logopolis. This story is okay. I think it works pretty well for the first 3 episodes, and then just kind of falls apart at the end. But it has some nice cliffhangers, and this is the Fourth Doctor's last story, and the Master is back in this as well. So it's got some nice cliffhangers, but not much of a story. Nice ending for the Fourth Doctor, though. His death scene is nice. Then we have the first Peter Davison story as a Doctor, Castrovalva. This, of course, is another Master episode, because really this New Beginnings box set is kind of like a Master, the Return of the Master trilogy, and this works as kind of an ending to that. This is a strange story, and really there's not much to it. So yeah, I would maybe just recommend watching it just to see where the Fifth Doctor... I mean, Peter Davison does a really good job in this, and some of the writing is actually pretty good. But just the overall story of it doesn't work very well. So that brings us to The Visitation. This is a cool story. It's set in 1666 in England during the Great Plague. And this is just a fun story overall. And it's got some nice cliffhangers as well, and some nice characters in it too. Okay, now we have Black Orchid. This is the first historical since the black and white days of Doctor Who. But this is set in England in 1925, and really this is kind of a calm before the storm, because the next episode it gets pretty serious. But this is a fun episode. It's only a 2-parter. And you can really pick this up. You can pick this DVD up for, I think, $10-15. It's fairly cheap now. But it's fun. I'd recommend it. It's got some nice special features on it, too. Now we are moving on to Earthshock. Now, obviously you can tell this has a Cyberman in it. It kind of spoils the cliffhanger on the cover. But this also has the death of a companion in it, too. There's definitely some glaringly bad special effects in this. and also some glaringly bad acting from some stunt casting in it. But it's a good story overall. It has a very emotional ending to it. Now we're on to one of the worst Doctor Who stories of all time. It is Time Flight. This was the finale of one of the seasons. I can't remember what season this closed. I think it was season 19 that this ended. But it's just not that good. It's got an interesting concept where one of the supersonic airplane, Concorde, it disappears in midair. It gets sent back in time. But just the whole story doesn't make a bit of sense. But, there is some nice acting here and there in it. But it really doesn't make that much sense. And it does have kind of a season-ending cliffhanger, which is a bit different from the usual Doctor Who. So I'd maybe recommend renting it. It's just not that good. Next we have Arc of Infinity. Now, I really like this story. John Nathan Turner, for season 20, I believe it is now, he wanted to bring back a villain from the past in each story. So this one has Omega returning, and of course you get to see the Doctor's home planet of Gallifrey as well. And also another interesting note is this is the first Doctor Who story to feature Colin Baker in it. He does not play the Doctor yet, but he does play a Time Lord in it, Maxwell, I believe his name is. But this is a pretty good story, pretty tight story. I enjoy it a lot. Next we have the Five Doctors. This is the 25th anniversary edition. They came out with another version of this. I think it was actually the first Doctor Who DVD to be released. It was bare bones extras. This has a ton of special features on it. I would highly recommend picking this up if you're a Doctor Who fan. Even if you just like the new series of Doctor Who, this is a must-buy because it actually does have a hidden audio commentary on it with David Tennant, who played the 10th Doctor, Helen Rayner, and I can't remember the other guy's name. He was a producer, I think from series 1 through 4. I can't remember his name. But this has tons of special features on it. It's a great pickup. And an awesome story because it brings all these Doctors together. Well, except for Tom Baker, who didn't want to be in this episode. I mean, honestly, he had just left the role. I think like a year and a half earlier, so it was too soon for him to return. I completely understand it. So they just had the Fourth Doctor get caught in a time eddy, I think, or a time loop or something. And of course the William Hartnell, who played the First Doctor, had sadly passed on by the time this was made, so they got a new actor to play him. I believe his name is Richard Herndon. He does a decent job as the First Doctor, but he just can't replace William Hartnell. But this is a fun story. You just gotta see it. That's all there is to it. You just gotta see it. Next we have Warriors of the Deep. This is story number 131, and this brings back the Silurians and the Sea Devil. And man, this is a colossal mess. They got some good things going on in here. The story is decent. The special effects are bad. There's wobbly sets. The lighting in it is pretty good. It's really bright. The set is just like all white. The costumes in it. The Merker. If you've seen this episode, you know what I'm talking about. But it's this alien monster in it that just looks like a guy just waggling around in a suit. It's horrible. So yeah, it's got some decent special features, but it's just okay. next we have Resurrection of the Daleks. This is a pretty cool story. This is also Tegan's last story, played by Janet Fielding. And she doesn't get much of an ending. She's just kind of like, oh, doctor, I can't do this anymore, and runs off. But, of course, this features the Daleks. And they are rescuing Davros, who, at the end of, I believe, Destiny of the Daleks, got arrested by this Federation police or whatever. And he's been like cryogenically frozen, but the Daleks are trying to rescue him, and they've got a plot against the Time Lords. So yeah, this is a fun story. I think that this story alone, this is a 4-part. This story alone has a higher body count, I think, of the first Terminator movie.